My boss called me into her office today. She smiled and said, "We need to talk about my future in the company." But I know the truth. She is not just my boss. She is the woman who destroyed my marriage. She is the reason my husband left me. And now I work for her. Hello everyone, I'm Sophia, and wow, welcome back. If you're new here, let me tell you what we do. I share real and emotional stories sent by listeners from all around the world. And these aren't just any stories, they're about love, loss, difficult choices, and everything in between. The best part, these stories can help you learn English and reflect on life at the same time. So you're not just improving your English, you're also connecting with real human experiences. And honestly, that's what makes this so special. Oh, and if you enjoy this content, please don't forget to like the video. It really helps. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we share new stories every week. And I'd love to hear from you, so share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the choices people make? Would you do things differently? Let me know. All right, now let's begin today's story. My name is Clyde. I am 32 years old. 3 years ago, I had everything I ever wanted. I had a loving husband named David. We were married for 5 years. We lived in a beautiful apartment in the city. David was my best friend. He was my partner. He was the love of my life. Every morning, we had breakfast together. Every night, we talked about our dreams. I thought we would grow old together. David worked at a big company in the city. He was a manager in the sales department. He was very good at his job. His boss always praised him. He got promotions and bonuses. But success came with a price. He worked long hours every day. He came home late many nights. Sometimes he worked on weekends too. I understood his job was important. I never complained. I waited for him at home every night. I trusted David completely. I never checked his phone. I never asked who he talked to. I believed in our marriage. When he said he was working late, I believed him. When he said he had business dinners, I believed him. Love is about trust, right? That is what I always thought. I made dinner for him. I kept our home clean and warm. I did everything to make him happy. One evening in November, everything changed. David came home earlier than usual. It was only 7 in the evening. He looked tired and sad. His face was pale. He did not smile when he saw me. He just walked past me and sat on the couch. I asked him if he was okay. He did not answer. He just stared at the wall. My heart started to beat faster. I sat next to him. I took his hand. It was cold. I asked him again what was wrong. He finally looked at me. His eyes were red. I could see he was holding back tears. He said, "Clary, we need to talk." Those 4 words changed my life forever. I felt my body go cold. I knew something terrible was coming, but I was not ready for what he said next. David told me he met someone else. Her name was Rebecca. She worked at his company. They worked together on a big project 6 months ago. They spent a lot of time together. They had lunch meetings. They had coffee breaks. They talked every day. He said, at first, it was just friendship, but then feelings grew. He said he tried to stop it. He said he fought against it, but he could not control his heart anymore. He said he was in love with Rebecca. He said he was sorry, but he could not stay with me. He said it was not fair to me. He said I deserved someone who loved me completely. I felt like someone hit me in the chest. I could not breathe. Tears started falling from my eyes. I begged him to stay. I asked him to give us another chance. I told him we could fix this, but he shook his head. He said his decision was final. 2 weeks later, he packed his things and left. After David left, my life fell apart. I could not believe what happened. Every morning I woke up and hoped it was just a bad dream. But it was real. The apartment felt empty and cold. His closet was empty. His coffee mug was gone. Half of our photos disappeared from the walls. I walked around like a ghost. I could not focus on anything. All I could think about was David and Rebecca together. I cried every single day for months. Sometimes I cried in the shower. Sometimes I cried at work, in the bathroom. Sometimes I cried myself to sleep at night. My friends called me every day. They invited me to dinners and movies. They tried to cheer me up. But nothing worked. I felt broken inside. I felt like I was not enough. I asked myself the same questions over and over. What did Rebecca have that I did not have? Why was I not good enough? I stopped eating properly. I lost 10 pounds in 2 months. Food had no taste anymore. I only ate because my body needed it. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped seeing my friends. I only went to work and came back home. At work, I pretended to be fine. I smiled and acted normal. But inside, I was dying. My coworkers did not know about my divorce. I did not tell anyone. I was too ashamed. 6 months after David left, something changed inside me. I woke up one morning and looked at myself in the mirror. I saw a sad, tired woman. I did not recognize myself anymore. I realized I was wasting my life. David moved on with Rebecca. He was probably happy. Why was I still suffering? Why was I giving him so much power over my life? That day, I made a decision. I decided to take my life back. I started small. I cleaned the apartment and threw away everything that reminded me of David. I bought new curtains and new pillows. I painted the bedroom walls a different color. I joined the gym again. I started eating healthy meals. I called my friends and apologized for pushing them away. They were so happy to hear from me. We went out for dinner and laughed together. It felt good to laugh again. It felt good to be alive again. Then I decided I needed a bigger change. I needed a new job. I had been working at the same company for 7 years. Everything there reminded me of my old life with David. I needed a fresh start. I needed new people and new challenges. I updated my resume. I practiced interview questions. I felt nervous but also excited. This was my chance to create a new life. A life without David. A life that was completely mine. I sent my resume to 15 different companies. Some said no. Some never replied. But I did not give up. 1 month later, I received an email from a big marketing company. They wanted to interview me for a senior position. The salary was better than my current job. The office was in a nice part of the city. I was so excited. I prepared for days. I researched the company. I bought a new suit. On the day of the interview, I felt ready. I felt strong. I was finally moving forward with my life. My first day at the new company was on a Monday morning in September. I woke up early and took a long shower. I put on my new navy blue suit. I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled. I looked professional and confident. I felt like a new person. I was nervous, but in a good way. This was the beginning of my new life. I took a deep breath and left my apartment. The sun was shining. Everything felt possible. I arrived at the office building at 8:30. It was a tall, modern building with glass walls. The lobby was beautiful with marble floors and green plants everywhere. I walked to the reception desk. A young woman smiled at me and said, "Good morning." I told her my name and that it was my first day. She checked her computer and said, "Welcome to the team." She gave me a visitor badge and called someone to come get me. I waited in the lobby feeling excited. A few minutes later, a woman came to meet me. Her name was Sarah. She was from Human Resources. She was very friendly and welcoming. She took me on a tour of the office. She showed me the meeting rooms, the kitchen, and the break room. Everyone seemed nice and busy. The office had big windows with views of the city. I loved it already. Then Sarah said, "Now let me take you to meet your boss." She wants to welcome you personally before you start. We walked down a long hallway. My heart was beating fast. I wanted to make a good first impression on my new boss. Sarah stopped in front of a big corner office. The walls were glass so you could see inside. There was a large desk with a computer and papers. Behind the desk sat a woman. She was looking down at her phone. Sarah knocked on the glass door. The woman looked up and said, "Come in." Sarah opened the door and I walked inside. The woman stood up from her chair. She was tall and elegant. She wore a black dress and high heels. Her hair was perfect. She looked professional and powerful. She started to smile and walk toward me. But then our eyes met. Her smile froze on her face. Her eyes went wide. She stopped walking. I felt my whole body go cold. It was Rebecca, the woman who destroyed my marriage, the woman who took David from me. And she was my new boss. Time seemed to stop. We both just stood there staring at each other. I could not move. I could not speak. I felt sick to my stomach. My hands started shaking. I wanted to run out of the office. I wanted to scream at her, but Sarah was standing right next to me. She did not know anything. She was smiling and waiting for us to shake hands. Rebecca recovered first. She cleared her throat and said, "Hello, Claire. Welcome to our team." Her voice sounded cold and formal. I forced myself to speak. I said, "Hello? Thank you." My voice came out as a whisper. Rebecca gestured to a chair and said, "Please sit down." I sat down, but my legs felt weak. Sarah said, "I will leave you two to talk," and she left the office. Now it was just me and Rebecca, the woman I hated more than anyone in the world. She sat back down behind her desk. She opened a folder and started talking about my job responsibilities. She acted like we were strangers, like she did not ruin my life. But we both knew the truth, and now I had to work for her. The first few weeks were the hardest time of my life. Every morning I woke up and felt sick thinking about going to work. I had to see Rebecca every single day. I had to listen to her voice. I had to follow her orders. I had to pretend everything was normal. Achi the office, I smiled and acted professional. But inside, I was screaming. I went to the bathroom many times just to breathe and calm down. At night, I went home exhausted. Not from work, but from pretending. Rebecca never talked about David. She never mentioned our past. She never said sorry or even looked uncomfortable. She acted like we never met before. In meetings, she was cold and professional with everyone, but I felt like she was especially cold with me. She gave me difficult projects with tight deadlines. She checked my work more carefully than other people. She corrected small mistakes in front of the whole team. I did not know if this was personal or if she was just a tough boss. My coworkers liked Rebecca. They thought she was smart and fair. They said she was the best boss they ever had. During lunch breaks, they talked about how lucky we were to work for her. Some people said she was strict, but always right. Others said she helped them grow professionally. They had no idea who she really was. They did not know she was the kind of woman who takes another woman's husband. I sat there listening and said nothing. I could not tell them the truth. Every day I thought about quitting. I imagined walking into her office and saying, "I quit." I imagined the look on her face. It would feel so good to walk away. But then I thought about my bills and my rent. I thought about how hard I worked to get this job. I thought about starting over again at another company. And I realized something. Why should I leave? I was good at my job. My projects were successful. Clients gave me positive feedback. I worked hard to be here. Rebecca did not deserve to win again. So I made a decision. I would stay and I would be the best employee in the company. I would work harder than everyone else. I would prove that I was strong. I would show Rebecca that she did not break me. Every morning, I arrived early. I finished every project before the deadline. I volunteered for extra work. I helped my coworkers. I made sure my work was perfect. Slowly, people started to notice. They said I was talented and dedicated. Even Rebecca could not ignore my good work. One day, in a big meeting, Rebecca presented my project to the company president. She said this campaign was excellent and brought new clients to the company. Everyone clapped. The president asked who worked on it. Rebecca looked at me and said, "Claire did." The president smiled at me and said, "Great job, Claire. Keep up the good work." I felt proud. For the first time in months, I felt like I was winning. I was not just surviving anymore. I was succeeding. And that felt better than running away. But the pain was still there. Some days were harder than others. Sometimes I saw Rebecca laughing on the phone and I wondered if she was talking to David. Sometimes I passed by her office and saw photos on her desk. I could not see who was in them. My mind created terrible images. At night, I still cried sometimes. I was angry at the universe for putting me in this situation. Why did I have to see her face every day? Why did life have to be so cruel? But every morning, I got up and went back. I refused to give up. I refused to let her take anything else from me. 6 months passed working under Rebecca. Something changed inside me during that time. I stopped thinking about David every day. I stopped checking his social media. I stopped wondering what he was doing or if he was happy. One day I realized I went a whole week without crying, then 2 weeks, then a month. The pain was still there, but it was smaller now. It was like a scar instead of an open wound. I was healing. I was becoming a stronger version of myself. My relationship with Rebecca stayed professional and cold. We talked only about work. We never had lunch together. We never had personal conversations. But I noticed something. She looked tired. She did not smile anymore like she did in the beginning. Sometimes in meetings she seemed distracted. Once I saw her in the bathroom and her eyes were red. I wondered what was happening in her life. But I did not ask. It was not my business. I focused on my work and my own healing. One afternoon in March, Rebecca sent me an email. She asked me to come to her office at the end of the day. My heart started beating fast. I thought maybe she was going to fire me. Maybe she was tired of seeing me every day too. I spent the whole afternoon worried. At 5 o'clock, I walked to her office. I knocked on the door. She said, "Come in." I entered and sat down. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "Claire, I need to tell you something important." Rebecca looked down at her hands. She took a deep breath. Then she said, "David and I are not together anymore. We broke up 3 months ago." I felt shocked. I did not know what to say. She continued talking. She said their relationship did not work. She said David was not the man she thought he was. Then she said something that made my heart stop. She said David cheated on her. He started seeing another woman from his office, the same way he cheated on me with her. I sat there in silence. I did not know how to feel. Part of me felt happy that she experienced the same pain I felt. Part of me wanted to laugh and say, "Now you know how it feels." But looking at her face, I felt something different. I felt sad. Sad for both of us. Sad for all the time we wasted on a man who did not deserve us. Rebecca started crying. She said, "I am so sorry, Claire. I know saying sorry does not change anything. I know what I did was terrible. I destroyed your marriage. I hurt you deeply. I was selfish and wrong." She said, "When I fell in love with David, I told myself it was real love. I told myself it was destiny. I believed we were meant to be together. I did not think about you. I did not think about your pain. I only thought about my feelings. But karma is real, Claire. I got exactly what I deserved. Now I understand what I did to you. Now I know how it feels." She covered her face with her hands and cried harder. I had dreamed about this moment many times. I thought I would feel joy seeing her suffer. but I did not feel joy. I just felt empty and tired. I looked at Rebecca crying and I made a choice. I said, "Rebecca, I forgive you." She looked up at me with surprise. I continued, "I forgive you not because what you did was okay. It was not okay, you hurt me deeply. But I forgive you because I need to move on. I cannot carry this anger anymore. It is too heavy. It is hurting me more than it is hurting you. David made his choice. You made your choice. Now I am making mine. I choose to let go. I choose peace." Rebecca whispered, "Thank you." She said, "I do not deserve your forgiveness." I said, "Maybe not, but I deserve to be free." And forgiveness is how I set myself free. That day, something lifted from my heart. I finally felt light again. Wow, that was intense, wasn't it? Every time I share one of these stories, I'm reminded of how complex life can be. I truly believe that every story has something to teach us. Sometimes it's about love, sometimes it's about loss, and sometimes it's just about being human and making difficult choices. So, what do you think about today's story? I really want to know your opinion. Do you agree with the choices that were made? Would you do things differently? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and honestly, I love reading your perspectives. Sometimes you guys see things that I completely miss. Oh, and if this story touched your heart, if you felt something while listening, please give it a like. It really helps more people discover these stories. And don't forget to subscribe. We share new emotional stories every week. And trust me, we have some incredible ones coming up. And if you have your own story you'd like to share, something that's been on your mind or weighing on your heart, send it to me. You never know, your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Take care of yourselves, okay? And remember, life is complicated, but we're all doing our best. See you in the next story.